My name is Trisha Ann Smith da Silva, and I'll be speaking about the future of work and whether or not you are ready. So, preparing for the future of tomorrow. I am an audit partner at PwC, and I've been there for a number of years, let's say over 15 years thereabouts. And I've been able to see the changes in the work world, how things were 15 years ago versus how it is now. And, I'm able to embrace and see how things are changing and condition my mind to determine how things will be going forward. So today, we'll be talking about what is the future of work. We'll also be looking at the impact of COVID-19 on the future of work. So we're now in the second year of COVID-19, and we have been restricted to primarily working from home. So we'll talk about that and how it has impacted work and how it will possibly impact the future of work. We can also step back and look at what does the future of work actually look like. And then finally, we'll touch on what are the competencies for tomorrow's world. So what is the future of work? Here you see I have a robot, right? And it's doing a number of devices. A number of persons are concerned that the future of work will result in a lot of persons losing their jobs because of the fact that robots will be able to carry out those tasks. But I am here to put you at ease to let you know that that is not necessarily the case. Some jobs may become obsolete, but it is expected that new jobs will arise. So let us start off by looking at the World Economic Forum. So the World Economic Forum would have looked at the future of work, and in looking at the future of work, they also defined what is that? What does that concept mean? The future of work describes the consequences of major trends, including the rise of emerging technologies and their effects on existing and non-existing jobs, right? So when we talk about emerging technologies, you may have heard about artificial intelligence, you may have heard about robotic automation, you may have heard about blockchain, and we'll be touching on a few of those today. So another thing, when we step back and look at what is the future of work, we also step back and look at how it impacts the set of skills required to prepare people for the upcoming future. So what are some of the skills that we need to attain to be able and ready for the future? So before we continue with the presentation, I'm going to play this short video for you that basically goes a bit deeper into the future of work.
To me, the future of work is hybrid, it is digital, it's inclusive. Now is not the time to slow down, now is the time to amp it up.
The big change here is the empowerment to choose those opportunities, to be in control of where you work, how you work, and when you work.
People are creating much more flexible ways of working.
And there is technology that enables us to do that in a pretty seamless way.
Together, let's create the future of work.
So the future of work, something that a number of persons are considering. So I shared with you a video from PwC Australia just a while ago about the future of work. If you do a search, you will see that Bloomberg is speaking about it, Forbes, a number of audit firms, engineering firms, etc. So it's something that is on the tip of everybody's mind, and it's something that you should also be concerned about as a future employee. So let us step back now and look at the impact of COVID-19 on the future of work. So when we look at some of the jobs that exist now and step back and look at whether or not they existed possibly a decade ago, we notice that there's a significant shift. So today we see persons doing work such as managing social media. That is now a full-time job, right? A number of corporate entities hire social media managers to manage their different social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever platforms they use. And this is something that is very instrumental and ingrained in the company's strategic plan. Another thing that we have noticed is that we actually have persons now employed to manage the overall working from home and telecommuting. Step back and think about it. A decade ago, was that the case? More than likely not. We also have persons who are responsible for optimizing websites for search engines. So you know that in order to get business, a lot of companies have put out websites, and of course they want persons to visit the website. So they have hired persons to help them to determine how is it that they can grow internet traffic to their page. So as I mentioned not too long ago, I said that one of the emerging technologies is artificial intelligence. And what is artificial intelligence? It's a broad field of computer science, which is focused on creating intelligent machines that can perform a task that would typically be completed by a human. So these are typically standardized tasks. So a computer can be programmed to carry out these standardized tasks, which then can be taken away from humans to allow the humans to focus on some of the more technical matters, right? So if you step back and think about it, with the existence of artificial intelligence, then eventually some jobs such as data entry clerks may eventually become irrelevant because those particular tasks can be viewed as standardized. So since COVID-19, I don't know if you have noticed, but many companies have put in place digital solutions and they use tools for artificial intelligence at the supermarket, in call centers, manufacturing plants, warehouses. And that helps them to reduce the workplace force and also cope with surges in demand. So if you step back and you look at our Jamaican market, you will know that there have been a number of companies that have made individuals redundant. And the reason why they have done that is because they have been able to implement digital tools to carry out some of their tasks. So we have a number of financial institutions that recently would have indicated that they are closing branches and putting in digital solutions to allow for customers to get service and get service in a manner that is more efficient. If you step back, we also possibly do have instances where some of the tasks that have been set up at call centers are now standardized and they use digital solutions to help them to get those tasks completed as well. So COVID-19 has somewhat accelerated the emergence of digital solutions. And now we're seeing that it's very important to be equipped with the knowledge surrounding digital tools. So continuing with the impact of COVID-19 on the future of work, as we have seen with COVID-19, there is a greater change in the mix of jobs within economies, right? That was not estimated before the pandemic. And there was a survey recently done by PwC in 2020 of around 10,000 members of the population. And these persons were based in places like the US, UK, India, China, and Germany. And based on that survey, 37% of respondents are worried about automation putting jobs at risk. And that is an increase of 4% when the survey was last conducted in 2014. So it is something that persons are concerned about, and it is something that you should be concerned about as well. When we step back and look at it from a business standpoint, COVID-19 is pushing businesses to change their workplace practices, which was already unavoidable. So now we have a lot of work from home. Initially, some entities may have been hesitant to implement such a policy, but it is working, and COVID-19 has pushed that. And with the work from home situation, there has to be great utilization of digital tools. So as you can see, COVID-19 is accelerating some of the things that would have been implemented as a part of the Future of Work campaign. So, of course, workplace flexibility is very important, and businesses have implemented those rapidly to ensure that they remain profitable. And the implication is that technology is being updated to provide team members with the tools and resources to work remotely. And of course, that is with the implementation of what we call the 3 C's of remote working, which include computers, collaboration, and collaboration. So far, we have spoken about what is the future of work. We have looked at the impact of COVID-19 on the future of work. And now let us look at what does the future of work actually look like. So here, this picture is illustrating blockchain, right? So blockchain is basically connected to cryptocurrency. You've been hearing a lot about that. There's a drive by the Bank of Jamaica also to implement digital currency, and blockchain is something that is connected to that. Here, this is artificial intelligence. So here we have a robot. This robot has been configured to carry out some of the standardized tasks that employees of companies would typically do, right? So here we have artificial intelligence. Here we have a person doing some work, and you notice that he's working with items, a lot of switchboards and devices. This here is him actually automating process using robotic automation. So that's another thing that will be coming in. Here, wearing glasses and able to see the virtual reality. And it is expected that, especially in the medical field, that this particular type of digital tool may be utilized for doctors to be able to look at x-rays real time, assess them, determine what particular issues patients may have. And here, we're all accustomed to this. And that is what I'm actually doing here today. I'm using my computer and speaking to you, and you're watching me. So this here, the utilization of digital tools like Zoom, Google Meet, Teams, will become the future. Eventually, you may hear that most persons primarily work from home, depending on what works for them. But it may be a hybrid approach where persons work from home some days and go into the office on other days. So this is the part that I believe you're most interested in. Based on the future of the work, what does it look like for me as it regards areas that I should be focusing on? So here I've extracted from the Future of Jobs Survey 2020 from World Economic Forum some of the jobs that are in increasing demand versus those that are in decreasing demand. And I think I'm going to do this in the reverse orders. I'm going to start talking about those in a decreasing demand. So I mentioned it before. The first one is data entry clerks. That is one of the jobs that is considered to be somewhat routine, and hence it is believed that the need for that job will decrease. We also have, for instance, administrative secretaries, accounting, bookkeeping, and payroll clerks, accountants and auditors. Can you believe that? I can't believe that still. I can't believe that that eventually I may not be needed, but we can touch on that soon. Assembly and factory workers, etc. So going back to the accountants and auditors, the decrease in demand for accountants and auditors may be the case at the lower levels, because accountants and auditors, when they just enter an entity or a firm, typically do standardized tasks. For instance, we call it vouching, where they may take a listing of transactions and tick that off against the support. So it is very routine. And actually at my firm, PwC, we have implemented a number of digital tools that helps us to do some of those standard procedures. So we already see that the future of work is actually being implemented currently. For accountants and auditors, the expectation is that it will be more situations where persons are needed to analyze technical accounting matters. The demand for that will be very high, right? So here we have the persons that just touch on one or two others. So like financial analysts, human resource specialists, bank tellers. The bank tellers ties back to the example that I've given you before as it regards financial institutions that are now closing some of their branches and automating the task. So all of these jobs, there's decrease in demand, but what is increasing? Well, artificial intelligence and machine learning specialists. So we definitely need persons who understand artificial intelligence and know how to program these machines so that they can do the task, make things more efficient, and allow entities to basically increase their profits. We'd also need persons who know digital marketing. As I mentioned before, there's a great drive for marketing using social media, increasing traffic to websites and so on, because that basically drives the revenue. We'd also want business development professionals, project managers who can coordinate and ensure that things are done on time, strategic advisors able to help entities identify some of the key goals and identify strategies to ensure that those are implemented, and also risk management specialists. So quite a number of jobs. So this slide demonstrates to you that even though there are jobs for which there's decrease in demand, there are new jobs that have been created with increase in demand. So it is very important as a job seeker for you to identify some of those jobs that are needed and identify different skills, certifications that you need to pursue to position yourself to be able to get such employment. So let us look now at the top 15 skills for 2025. We have analytical thinking and innovation. I don't think I need to say any more. We have active learning and learning strategies, complex problem solving. I spoke about that before, especially as an auditor. Whenever a client has an issue surrounding accounting matters, they call their auditors to go through and understand that. And it's therefore important for you to identify what industry you're seeking to go into, And based on that industry, what are some of the technical matters that persons would need assistance with, and identify how is it that you can educate yourself to have a full understanding of those technical matters so that you're in a position to help individuals to solve those complex issues. We also have leadership and social influence, technology use. You notice that technology is there twice, even emotional intelligence, right? So these are some very important skills. And after this presentation, if you want further details, remember that you can go to Future of Jobs Survey 2020, World Economic Forum, and there's quite a bit of information within it that you can look at. So we have looked at what is the future of work. We have looked at the impact of COVID-19 on the future of work. We have looked at what does the future of work actually look like, and we have identified what are some of the needs, what are some of the jobs in increasing demand versus decreasing demand, and the top jobs of focus as well. So what does the future hold? So as noted, the future of work will bring a lot of changes. And as I said before, some jobs will become obsolete, but also a lot of new jobs will be created. So I would have demonstrated that to you just a while ago. COVID-19 has accelerated how we work. And there's now a switch to remote working, increased use of digital tools. So here in the image, you see somebody working comfortably at home, using her computer, and I'm sure that she's using various digital tools to get her job done from home efficiently. So therefore, we need to focus on training and job conversion strategies, right? So job versatility, retraining, and continuous development are now more critical at all levels. So when you think about training, you need to learn, you need to attend workshops, get skills. When you learn those skills, you may coach other persons to help them to develop their skills, and it helps you to increase your knowledge. So as a job seeker, it is important for you to get the knowledge, understand how to use the digital tools, identify what are some of the jobs that are of great demand, and identify what are some of the needs, some of the things that you need to know to be able to execute those jobs. Identify what are the certifications connected to them. Sign up, do the training, always ensure that you do continuous development to keep that knowledge fresh, and share your knowledge. Conduct training sessions to share with other persons. So we spoke about the future of work, impact of COVID-19, what the future looks like, some of the jobs that are increasing in demand versus decreasing. And we also basically looked at what does the future look like for you. So now, this is the last thing that I'm going to touch on is the 7 competencies for tomorrow's world, right? So yes, we're talking about the future of work, which involves a lot of digital tools, but that is not the only thing that is needed to prepare yourself for tomorrow's world. So here I've extracted a picture that the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants would have noted in a survey that they did, right? So this was a part of the survey results. So the association performed research, and it highlighted 7 professional competencies that tomorrow's professional would need to progress in their career, and of course, to add the most value for their employers and clients. So the first one is technical and ethical, right? Intelligence, overall understanding of digital tools, general experience. So those are the typical skills that we'd expect. And with everything, we should always focus on our softer skills. So we have emotional intelligence, vision, and creative. And I'm going to touch on these just briefly. And then subsequently, if there are any questions, I will answer those questions. So feel free to post your questions in the chat. So let's start off with technical and ethical. Being technically fluent in your area of work is simply expected of all professionals. I'm sure everybody agrees with this. So if you're interacting with a lawyer, you're interacting with a doctor, and you're speaking with them, your expectation is that they would generally be knowledgeable of that particular job that they're in, right? So they should have adequate knowledge. One, if you're a doctor, to treat the patient, you should know what are some of the different conditions that exist, and based on those conditions, what is a potential diagnosis and what is the medication to be prescribed. So what this emphasizes is whatever job you go into, you need to ensure that you have a detailed understanding of the technical related matters. I mean, of course, entering into a job, you may not necessarily have that information, but you need to identify what is it that you need to understand, do your research, read, do training sessions so that you can learn and build your technical competence. Ethics is another important thing, and that is the highest professional standard. In anything that you're doing, you should always be ethical, right? Intelligence, anything that you do, you need to be able to identify and resolve problems. So you identify a problem, you do your research and develop a solution. And this ties into your technical knowledge, because as you get particular problems and you need to solve them, in order to solve them, you need to grow your technical knowledge in your field. Digital, we have spoken about that quite a bit in this presentation. So you need to have some knowledge of new technologies like the automatic intelligence, cloud computing, blockchain. And as I mentioned, these are important for the future of work. Experience, over time, you will gain experience constantly through real world interactions on the job. So that is something that is expected to grow as you grow in your job, and the experience will help you to identify how you can undertake particular initiatives and resolve strategic issues, etc. So let's touch on the soft skills. Soft skills, creativity, right? So we need to always try to identify with our existing knowledge how we can make new connections of logic that helps us solve problems and give a business a competitive advantage. And this requires you stepping away from a spreadsheet and thinking strategically, identifying business insights. Vision is a soft skill that involves having an analytical, forward-thinking view. And it's important for you to be able to anticipate how various pieces of information may change the business, as well as emerging trends. And last but not least is emotional intelligence. And I believe that emotional intelligence is the most important of all 7 skills, right? So it covers personal and interpersonal skills. So interpersonal skills is how you communicate information to stakeholders and how you help to build their awareness and manage multicultural teams. So now we're working with teams with different persons, different backgrounds, a lot of diversity. We need to ensure that we're inclusive, and hence interpersonal skills are very important. Last but not least, personal skills is being able to seek advice from others, being open to making mistakes rather than avoiding them for fear of failure. Oftentimes persons say, when you make a mistake, you tend to learn the most from that. So thank you. That is a presentation on the workforce of the future. I hope you feel as if you're ready, or if you're not ready, I've been able to provide you with some information that will help to equip you in getting ready for the future. So I'm just going to check the discussion board to see if there are any questions. Okay. So I'm seeing that the first comment, dear all, thanks for participating in the Future of Work. Are you ready session? We welcome your feedback on the entire fair and request 5 minutes of your time to complete the satisfaction survey at the link below. So you can go to the discussion forum and you'll see a link there. Nicola says, very informative and eye-opening. Duran says, good afternoon. And somebody says, welcome. So a lot of persons saying good afternoon. So I'm going to pause now to see if there are any questions before I end this broadcast. Okay, somebody says, awesome presentation. Shauna is asking, hi, can you repeat the slide on typical skills? So let me do that for you. No problem, Sean, I'm here to help you. Okay, so we're going back to typical skills. Oh. Right, so typical skills include technical and ethical skills, intelligence, digital experience, right? So it's important for you, whatever area of work you decide to focus in or specialize in, you need to be technically fluent. So you need to understand the particular industry information. So if you're a lawyer, you need to understand the different regulations and legal frameworks that exist in the country of Jamaica. If it is that you're a lawyer specializing in a particular type of law, then you would zone in on that particular law. If you're an accountant, you would need to understand the Companies Act. You would need to understand the accounting standards, which include the International Financial Reporting Standards or the International Financial Reporting Standards for small to medium-sized entities. Another example, if you're an engineer, you'd probably want to understand the building code of the country. So identify your area of work. What are the technical matters that exist? Gather information surrounding those technical matters, read, practice, implement it at your work, and also go to training sessions to build that technical knowledge. Ethics is something, irrespective of whichever job you're in, ethics is the highest professional standard and it is essential, right? So always conduct yourself in an ethical manner. Intelligence, being able to identify a problem, perform research, develop a solution. Digital, we spoke about digital quite a bit in this presentation. Automatic intelligence, cloud computing, blockchain. So read up and understand, what do these new technologies mean? If it is that you're not an IT person, you should at least have a basic understanding of the different technologies that exist and how they work. Identify if any of these technologies would have an impact on the area of work that you plan to specialize in. If that is the case, do some research, do some certification to understand how does it impact your work, and equip yourself with the knowledge so that when you work at an entity, you're able to help them to implement particular digital tools to improve their business. Experience, so as I mentioned before, you gain experience constantly through real world interactions on the job, and even newcomers or students can gain experience by doing research on customers, asking questions, and just being curious. If you go into a new job and you're able to have access to some prior information, read up so that you can learn and understand, some of the different things that have been done and how they have been done, so you can get an appreciation of what is expected of you. Moving on to soft skills, we have creativity, right? So taking your existing knowledge and making new connections of logic that help you to solve problems and give a business a competitive advantage. If you're creative, you will be indispensable, right? So if you're able to come up with creative ideas for firms, I'm sure that they will hold on to you and give you other opportunities. So that is a key one. Step away from the spreadsheet, start thinking about strategy and business insights. Vision, taking an analytical approach, forward-thinking view, and to anticipate how various pieces of information may change the business or the industry, especially with all of these emerging trends. And emotional intelligence, speak well to people, have good relationships, be professional, right? We need to ensure we have good interpersonal and personal skills. We have a number of multicultural teams that we're working with now, different viewpoints, lots of diversity. We need to be inclusive. And last but not least, do not be afraid to make mistakes, because that is how you learn and develop your strengths. So thank you. I've seen some more comments coming in. Okay, let's check in quickly before I end the broadcast. Okay. You made mention of the 3 C's. Can you go over it, please? So remember the 3 C's, we're speaking about the 3 C's of remote working, and that includes computers. So in order to work remotely, we use computers. We have collaboration. So we have collaboration through a number of digital tools. We may use Zoom, for example, to have meetings to collaborate. We may have shared files. So we may use, for example, Google Drive, where a document can be uploaded and many persons work together to put together a deliverable for our clients. And then collaboration. So with the remote working, sometimes communication may be not as frequent as it would be if you're working in the office. So it's important to corroborate information that is there. If you're, for example, collaborating on a document, you may connect with one of the team members to check with them whether or not this is a particular viewpoint that they're trying to put across. So that's the 3 C's of remote working. The next question is, what schools here in Jamaica offer some robotic training? And I got some assistance with that. So we have NCU and UWI. I don't think I'm seeing any additional questions. Just quickly scrolling. Comments. All right. So I hope that you found the presentation engaging, right? If it is that you need to reach out to me, if you have any specific questions, you can look for me on LinkedIn. My name is Trisha Ann Smith da Silva. I'm an audit partner at PwC Jamaica. So feel free to send me a message, connect with me, because I'm here to help you to make the transition to the work world. And enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for watching.